Life often presents us with crossroads. We stand before choices that seem overwhelming, uncertain, and at times even frightening. Human reasoning rushes in, trying to calculate outcomes, weighing what appears logical, what seems profitable, or what looks safe. Yet how many times has logic failed? How many times has careful planning unraveled because unforeseen circumstances swept everything away? The truth is simple yet profound: divine counsel never fails. To lean upon human understanding alone is to build upon shifting sand. Circumstances change, people change, markets rise and fall, doors open and shut, but divine wisdom remains steady, eternal, and unfailing. When you place your trust in the counsel of God, you anchor yourself to a wisdom that cannot be shaken. His guidance does not bow to circumstance, it commands circumstance. His counsel does not guess, it knows. When you invite God as your consultant, you move from fear into faith, from uncertainty into assurance. Even when the path seems unclear, His wisdom lights the next step. It may not reveal the entire journey at once, but it always reveals enough to walk forward without fear. That is the beauty of divine guidance. It gives you clarity in the moment and confidence for the future. Consider this: every divine idea carries within it the power to accomplish itself. Unlike human ideas, which often require struggle, manipulation, or force to succeed, divine ideas unfold naturally. They come clothed in opportunity, resourced with provision, and timed with precision. The moment you receive divine counsel, you receive not just direction but the assurance of completion. For what God begins, He always finishes. Why then do so many stumble in confusion? Because they lean on their own limited wisdom. They consult fear instead of faith, anxiety instead of spirit. Fear says, "What if I fail?" Divine counsel says, "You cannot fail, for I am with you." Anxiety says, "What if I lose everything?" Divine counsel says, "You cannot lose what is yours by divine right." Confusion says, "There is no way." Divine counsel whispers, "I am the way." Think of how many burdens we place upon ourselves when we try to solve life alone. We analyze, worry, debate, and exhaust ourselves trying to figure everything out. Yet the moment we release our grip and surrender the problem into divine hands, peace floods in. Suddenly, the right people show up, opportunities appear, and the impossible becomes possible. This is not coincidence. It is the outworking of divine counsel which never fails. Divine counsel is not reserved for the great, the powerful, or the spiritual elite. It is available to every soul who asks. Ask, and it shall be given you. Seek, and ye shall find. The wisdom of God is not far away. It is as near as your breath, as close as your heart. The still, small voice within you is ever ready to speak when you are willing to listen. Listening, however, requires quietness. The voice of divine counsel is often drowned out by the noise of fear, the chatter of opinions, and the clamor of doubt. To receive unfailing guidance, we must still the storm within and listen with faith. Trust that the voice of God is clear, specific, and timely. You will never be left without direction. The moment you truly seek guidance, it is given. The counsel of God never contradicts truth. It will never lead you to dishonor, to deception, or to fear. It leads only to right action, to integrity, to courage, and to peace. Even if His direction seems unusual to the logical mind, it carries within it the seed of undeniable success. Many have found that following divine counsel leads to opportunities they never imagined and blessings far greater than what they planned. Imagine standing before a closed door. Human wisdom pounds on it, tries to force it open, becomes frustrated when it won't budge. Divine counsel simply says, "This is not your door. Step aside. The door appointed for you will swing wide with ease." And sure enough, when you follow that guidance, another door appears, larger, brighter, and far better than what you thought you wanted. This is why divine counsel never fails. It knows the path of least resistance, the route to greatest blessing, and the way of peace. You may not always understand it in the moment, but later you look back and see that everything worked together for your good. Every no was protection. Every delay was preparation. Every redirection was a greater blessing in disguise. The human mind loves control, but divine wisdom calls us to trust. Control is heavy, exhausting, and fragile. Trust is light, freeing, and powerful. When you let go of the need to control and lean upon divine counsel, you discover a flow, a rhythm of grace that carries you effortlessly into success. What once required struggle begins to unfold with ease. Many fear surrender because they believe it means losing power. In truth, surrendering to divine counsel is the greatest empowerment. For you are not giving up strength, you are aligning with the limitless strength of God. You are not forfeiting wisdom, you are accessing perfect wisdom. You are not abandoning dreams, you are receiving dreams greater than you could have imagined. How do you receive this unfailing counsel? Through faith-filled words, prayerful surrender, and attentive listening. Speak words of alignment. I am divinely guided in every step I take. The wisdom of God goes before me and makes the way plain. I do not walk in darkness, for His counsel lights my path. Such declarations open your heart and mind to receive. And when divine guidance comes, act without hesitation. Doubt delays blessings. Fear blocks opportunities. Faith responds quickly, trusting that if the instruction is divine, the outcome is secure. You may not see the entire staircase, but you can take the first step. That first step opens the way for the next, and the next, until suddenly you find yourself standing in the very place you once longed for. Divine counsel is never late. It arrives at the exact moment you need it. Not too soon to make you careless, not too late to leave you desperate. It comes in perfect timing, aligning events, people, and circumstances in ways you could never orchestrate yourself. When you trust this timing, you live in peace rather than impatience. Remember, this divine counsel never fails because God cannot fail. His wisdom is flawless, His timing perfect, His power unlimited. Align yourself with His counsel, and you align yourself with success that cannot be shaken. Even when storms rage around you, your foundation will stand, for it is built upon eternal truth. So, if you face uncertainty today, stop striving, stop worrying, stop leaning on your own understanding. Instead, affirm with all your heart, divine counsel never fails. I am guided perfectly. I am led to right action, right people, right opportunities, and right outcomes. Success is certain, for God Himself is my consultant, and walk in that assurance and watch how life transforms. Watch how confusion dissolves, how obstacles fall away, how provision appears, and how peace surrounds you. For truly, when you live by divine counsel, you live in a realm where failure is impossible and success is inevitable. Divine counsel never fails. Human reasoning is limited. The human mind, as brilliant as it may appear, is often bound by fear, past experiences, and the appearance of circumstances. Human logic sees only what the senses perceive and calculates outcomes based on evidence that is already visible. Yet, life is not governed by appearances. It is governed by unseen laws, divine principles, and the inexhaustible wisdom of God. When a man or woman relies solely on human reasoning, they often walk by sight and not by faith, and in doing so, they shut themselves off from infinite possibilities. But when one acknowledges that human reasoning is limited and turns instead to divine guidance, life begins to unfold in miraculous, effortless ways. Think for a moment of the countless times you may have reasoned yourself out of blessings. How often have you looked at your bank account and concluded that increase was impossible? How often have you examined the reports of others and believed your future was bleak? Human reasoning limits the mind to what has been, not to what can be. It repeats patterns, echoes fears, and traps one in the circle of limitation. Yet divine guidance is not confined by facts, appearances, or even probabilities. Divine wisdom can take nothing and turn it into something. It can open doors where there are none, and it can bring rivers to flow in the desert. To rely on human reasoning alone is to walk in a room with no windows. One sees only the walls, the boundaries, and concludes that nothing lies beyond. But when one consults with God, suddenly the walls dissolve, the room expands, and what seemed impossible becomes natural. God does not reason with lack. He declares abundance. He does not reason with fear. He speaks faith. He does not reason with defeat. He decrees victory. The human mind may say, "This cannot be done," but divine wisdom whispers, "All things are possible to him who believes." Human reasoning is based on memory. It looks backward, studies past results, and projects the same pattern forward. But divine guidance is based on vision. It is creative, it sees beyond, it calls into existence things that are not yet visible. When you depend on reasoning alone, you repeat history. When you depend on God, you create destiny. Reasoning says, "No one in your family has done this before." Faith says, "I will be the first, for I walk in divine inheritance." Reasoning says, "You are not qualified." Divine wisdom says, "Whom God calls, He equips." Reasoning says, "There are no opportunities left." Divine wisdom says, "The universe is overflowing with doors ready to open at the right time." The danger of human reasoning is that it often clothes itself in wisdom. It sounds sensible, cautious, and even safe. Yet safety without faith is stagnation. Many lives remain small not because people lacked intelligence, but because they trusted reason over revelation. Reason can calculate risks, but it cannot perceive miracles. Reason can explain what happened, but it cannot foretell the divine surprises that await the believer. That is why so many sit at the edge of opportunity, reasoning themselves out of the very blessings they prayed for. Consider this: every invention, every breakthrough, every leap forward in human history came because someone dared to think beyond reasoning. The airplane defied the reasoning of its time. The telephone contradicted the wisdom of experts. Electricity was mocked as fantasy. Those who leaned on reasoning said, "Impossible." Those who leaned on vision said, "Watch me." How much greater then are the possibilities when you are not merely leaning on human imagination, but on the infinite wisdom of God. If human vision could pierce limitations and create wonders, how much more can divine guidance transform your life when you let go of reasoning and allow Spirit to lead the way? To acknowledge that human reasoning is limited is not to despise the intellect. The mind is a beautiful instrument, capable of analyzing, creating, and understanding. But it is only an instrument. It was never meant to be the master. The intellect makes a poor leader, but a wonderful servant when placed under divine authority. Without God's direction, reasoning becomes fear disguised as wisdom. With God's guidance, reasoning becomes a tool to execute divine plans with precision. The true wisdom of life is to let the divine consultant inspire the idea and then allow reasoning to organize it. The order is crucial: inspiration first, calculation second. Human reasoning measures what is visible. Divine guidance measures what is invisible. Reasoning says, there is not enough. Divine wisdom says, there is overflow. Reasoning says, you will fail because others failed. Divine wisdom says, you will succeed because I am with you. Reasoning says, there are no resources. Divine wisdom says, I am your source. Reasoning says, the facts are against you. Divine wisdom says, truth overrides facts. You see, facts change, but truth is eternal. Facts report appearances. Truth declares destiny. Facts may say you are sick, but truth says you are healed. Facts may say you are broke, but truth says wealth flows to you. Facts may say doors are shut, but truth says the right door is opening now. Human reasoning is impatient. It wants to see results quickly and grows wary when the path is unclear. But divine wisdom works with timing. It knows when you are prepared, when circumstances are aligned, and when the door will open. Reasoning grows anxious in silence. Wisdom rests in assurance. The human mind asks, when? Divine wisdom answers, at the perfect time. Human reasoning cries, why is this happening to me? Divine wisdom responds, all things are working together for your good. Reasoning is restless, wisdom is at peace. Many people pray for guidance yet return to reasoning as their master. They ask God for direction but then judge the answer by appearances. They pray for abundance yet look at their empty wallets and conclude nothing has changed. They ask for healing but measure their progress only by symptoms. This is the trap of reasoning. It evaluates divine answers by human standards. True faith trusts that unseen forces are at work, even when appearances seem unchanged. True wisdom declares, I cannot yet see the harvest, but I know the seed is planted. Reasoning also creates fear of the unknown. It wants guarantees before it moves. It calculates every risk and demands certainty before taking a step. Yet faith knows that certainty comes only after obedience. When God says, step out, He does not show you the whole staircase, He gives you light for the next step. Reasoning wants to see the end before it begins. Faith begins, and the end unfolds. That is why many remain paralyzed. They wait for reasoning to assure them before they act, but reasoning cannot perceive divine provision. Provision comes as you move, not before. Human reasoning is bound by the law of averages. It says, most people fail at this, so you will too. Divine wisdom is bound by the law of destiny. It says, though thousands may fail, you will succeed, for I am with you. Reasoning looks to statistics, wisdom looks to promises. Reasoning says, the odds are against you. Wisdom says, with God odds do not matter. Reasoning studies probabilities, wisdom declares possibilities. Reasoning says, be realistic. Wisdom says, walk by faith, not by sight. Consider the miracle stories throughout history. Time and again, those who leaned not on their own understanding, but trusted divine instruction witnessed results reasoning could not explain. The walls of Jericho did not fall by human strategy, but by divine command. The loaves and fishes did not multiply by logic, but by faith. Seas did not part because of calculations, but because of obedience. These are not just ancient stories, they are living reminders that when you acknowledge the limitation of reasoning and submit to divine wisdom, the impossible becomes possible. Every day presents you with a choice, to live by reasoning or to live by revelation. Reasoning will keep you confined to what you know, what you see, and what you can calculate. Revelation will lift you into what you have not yet seen, what you cannot yet imagine, and what God alone can do. The limited mind says, I must figure it out. The guided soul says, I will be shown the way. One struggles, the other flows. One strives, the other receives. The truth is this human reasoning was never meant to carry the weight of your destiny. That is why it feels anxious, restless, and heavy when you lean on it too much. The mind was not designed to be master, it was designed to be guided by spirit. The moment you release the burden of trying to calculate every outcome and instead trust divine counsel, peace floods your soul. Success begins to unfold naturally because you are no longer forcing but aligning. When you accept that reasoning is limited, you open yourself to unlimited supply. You stop saying, how can this be? And start declaring, with God, all things are possible. You stop doubting every step and begin trusting that each step is ordered. You stop rehearsing failures of the past and begin expecting miracles in the future. You stop asking, what if it doesn't work? And start affirming, it is already working. The irony is that when you let go of reasoning, life becomes far more reasonable. For divine guidance is always orderly, harmonious, and practical. God's wisdom does not create chaos, it creates peace. His answers are not confusion but clarity. His timing is not delay but perfection. What seemed irrational to the limited mind later proves to be the wisest decision. Many look back on their journeys and say, if I had followed reasoning, I would have missed this blessing. But because I followed divine guidance, I now stand in victory. Therefore, do not despise your reasoning mind, just do not enthrone it. Respect it as a tool, but never worship it as a god. Let divine wisdom inspire your ideas, and then let reasoning arrange them. Let revelation come first, and calculation follow after. Success comes not from trusting reasoning, but from aligning reasoning under revelation. Human reasoning is limited, but divine guidance is limitless. Human logic ends where the senses end, but divine wisdom begins where the impossible starts. So, affirm within yourself, I release the burden of reasoning everything out. I trust divine wisdom to guide my path. I walk not by sight but by faith. My mind is clear, my heart is strong, and my steps are ordered by God. What I cannot yet see is already unfolding for my good. When you live by this truth, you discover that the limited mind no longer traps you. The infinite mind guides you. And in that guidance there is no failure, no lack, no fear, only success, supply, and peace. Human reasoning is limited, but God's wisdom is unlimited. Lean not on your own understanding, lean on the infinite. Trust the consultant within. Follow the principles that never fail, and watch as life aligns with success beyond anything reasoning could have planned. Success is never the result of blind chance. It is not a game of dice, nor is it decided by fate that moves without reason. Success is the direct result of principles, eternal spiritual laws that govern the unseen and the seen. These principles are as precise as mathematics and as sure as sunrise. When you align yourself with these divine laws, success flows naturally, as surely as a river runs to the sea. Chance may appear to bless one person and bypass another, but chance is merely the world's word for the operation of laws they do not yet understand. In truth, nothing comes by accident. Every blessing, every increase, every open door is drawn by principle, not by chance. Look at the world around you. Gravity does not sometimes work and sometimes fail. It always holds true. The sun does not rise only for some and refuse to shine for others. Its rays fall upon all. In the same way, the principles of divine success are impartial, eternal, and unfailing. Whoever aligns with them reaps their reward. Whoever resists them feels lack and struggle, not because the law has failed, but because the law has been ignored. When you come into harmony with these laws, you rise above uncertainty, above luck, above the instability of the world. Consider a farmer. He does not throw seed at random and hope by chance something will grow. He knows that if he places the seed in fertile soil, waters it, and tends it with care, the harvest will surely come. It is not luck, it is law, so it is with success. Each thought you think, each word you speak, each act you perform is a seed. If you plant seeds of faith, gratitude, generosity, and divine alignment, your harvest must be abundant. If you scatter seeds of fear, doubt, complaint, and dishonesty, your harvest will be barren. The principle is certain and the harvest reveals what was sown. Success flows from principle, not chance. The world teaches men to gamble with their lives, to chase opportunities blindly, to hope that something turns in their favor, to depend on chance meetings, chance encounters, or luck to open doors. Yet how many chase for years and find only frustration? Why? Because they have not learned that principle, not chance, governs success. When you consult with God, when you align with His principles, you step into a current that cannot be hindered. The opportunities you need, the people assigned to your destiny, the resources that belong to your work, they flow toward you, not by accident, but by law. What are these principles? They are not hidden in some secret vault, reserved for the few. They are as near as your own words, as clear as your own thoughts, as immediate as your own faith. One principle is the power of right words. What you speak, you bring into form. Words are not idle sounds, they are spiritual decrees. If you say, I can never succeed, you plant seeds of failure, and the law must produce according to your words. If you say, I am guided, I am supplied, I am successful in divine right order, the law must bring forth evidence of your declaration. Success flows when words are aligned with truth. Another principle is faith. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not yet seen. Faith is not a wish, not a fleeting hope, but a principle that shapes substance into form. A person of faith is never at the mercy of chance. Faith knows that what belongs to them cannot be withheld, that doors closed by man can be opened by God, that divine supply never runs dry. Faith draws results as surely as a magnet draws iron. Success comes not by hoping luck will favor you, but by standing in unwavering faith that God's law of abundance works unfailingly. Integrity is another principle. The world may applaud cunning, but divine law rewards honesty. When you live in integrity, you align with the principle of order. The dishonest may seem to succeed for a season, but their foundation is sand, and collapse is certain. The one who stands on integrity may appear delayed, but their foundation is rock, and their success endures. Principle builds what chance can never sustain. Success aligned with integrity is unshakable, for it carries divine approval. Generosity is another principle. Many fear to give, clinging tightly to what they have, believing that holding is the way to keep. Yet the principle of divine supply says, give, and it shall be given unto you. The more you release, the more flows back into your life. The giver lives in the current of abundance, while the hoarder stagnates. The generous do not depend on chance to bring them more. They live by principle, and principle never fails. Obedience to divine guidance is another principle. There is always a higher way, a voice behind you saying, this is the way, walk in it. When you obey divine direction, even when it seems contrary to logic, you step into perfect success. The world may scoff, but obedience to God's counsel leads you straight into doors you could not open by yourself. One divine instruction, followed faithfully, can position you for years of overflow. This is not luck, it is principle. The principle of expectancy also governs success. As you expect, so it is done unto you. Expectation is the atmosphere that draws supply. If you expect failure, failure meets you. If you expect increase, increase finds you. Success does not fall by accident into the lap of the unbelieving. It answers to expectation. When you rise each morning saying, something good is coming to me today, divine ideas are guiding me, abundance is flowing my way, you set the law in motion. Chance plays no part, principle is at work. Success also flows from the principle of persistence. Divine law does not reward the faint-hearted but the steadfast. The seed planted today may not bloom tomorrow, but the principle guarantees the harvest in due time. The one who gives up because chance did not favor them loses their reward. But the one who persists, standing firm on the principles of faith, integrity, and divine supply will see success that no obstacle can prevent. Let us remember that principle is always greater than circumstance. Circumstance may look unfavorable, but principle overrides circumstance. A seed planted in rocky soil will struggle, but in fertile soil it flourishes. Change the soil, and the result changes. In the same way, when you change the atmosphere of your mind and heart, planting faith instead of fear, gratitude instead of complaint, obedience instead of rebellion, you change the results. The law responds to your alignment. Circumstance is temporary, principle is eternal. There are many who wait for fortune to turn, for luck to favor them, for chance to bring a blessing. They wait in vain, for chance is a phantom. But those who align with principles see success flow without struggle. They are like ships with sails lifted, catching the wind of divine law, moving steadily toward their destination. Those who wait for chance are like ships without sails, drifting aimlessly, at the mercy of the tide. Which will you be? The choice is not chance, it is principle. When you know that success flows from principle, not chance, you stop fearing. Fear belongs to those who believe life is uncertain, unpredictable, unstable. But when you walk in principle, fear dissolves, for you know the outcome is secure. Just as surely as a seed planted in fertile ground will grow, your efforts aligned with divine principle must prosper. There is no anxiety in principle. There is no uncertainty in law. You rest in the certainty that what you have sown in faith, you shall reap in abundance. This truth is liberating. You no longer compete with others, for success is not scarce, it is abundant. The principle of divine supply declares that there is more than enough for all. When you know this, envy vanishes. You no longer chase desperately after opportunity, for you know opportunity is drawn to you by principle. You no longer despair when doors close, for you know another must open by divine law. Life becomes peaceful, ordered, abundant, not because of chance, but because of principle. The world will call some men lucky, but those who understand divine law know they are not lucky, they are aligned. They speak words of faith, and the law brings results. They act with integrity, and the law supports them. They give generously, and the law multiplies their gift. They listen to divine guidance, and the law leads them to success. Luck is a word for those who do not understand principle. But you, beloved, are not called to luck, you are called to law. When you walk in these principles, faith, right words, integrity, generosity, obedience, expectancy, persistence, you position yourself for inevitable success. The river of abundance is always flowing. Chance says, perhaps I will drink. Principle says, step into the river, and you cannot help but be supplied. Success flows from principles, not chance. It is not fickle, not uncertain, not unstable. It is sure, eternal, and unshakable. Therefore, let this truth be written upon your heart: you are not at the mercy of chance. You are governed by divine law. You are guided by eternal principles. Align yourself with them, and success must follow you. Doors must open. Provision must appear. Abundance must flow. For principle is stronger than chance, and law is greater than luck. You are not a gambler in the game of life. You are a master of divine principles, and your success is inevitable. So, speak words of power, walk in integrity, give with joy, listen for divine counsel, expect good, persist in faith, and watch as your life rises into overflowing success, not by chance but by the unshakable certainty of divine principle. One divine idea is enough. Just one spark of inspiration from the infinite mind has the power to transform an entire life, to lift a person from limitation into abundance, from struggle into effortless progress. We live in a world that often shouts at us to do more, chase more, gather more, And yet the truth is not in the multitude of actions but in the clarity of inspiration. All it takes is one divine idea, planted in the soil of faith, to produce a harvest so great that it not only sustains you but blesses generations after you. Think for a moment of how the greatest inventions, the most world-changing creations, and the most life-altering breakthroughs have come. They did not come from endless striving or restless labor, they came in a flash, a whisper, a vision in the quiet. The light bulb, the telephone, the airplane, all began as single ideas. But what makes the divine idea different from human imagination is this: the divine idea carries within it the guarantee of success. A divine idea is like a seed already containing the oak tree. It does not struggle to become what it is destined to be, it simply unfolds when nurtured. How often do we think we need 100 plans, 1,000 strategies, and countless opportunities in order to succeed? Yet in truth, one clear idea from God outweighs 1,000 plans of man. A divine idea does not come with confusion, doubt, or fear. It comes clothed in peace, in certainty, and in a quiet conviction that says, "This is the way, walk in it." You may not see the entire picture, but you know the first step. And when you take that first step, the next one appears, and then the next, until the vision becomes reality. One divine idea is enough to restore your finances. You may have struggled with debt, with lack, with the fear that nothing will ever change. But in an instant, a divine idea can open a channel of provision that had been invisible to you before. It may come as a business concept, a new method, a partnership, or even a simple shift in perspective. What seemed impossible becomes simple once the divine idea arrives. God does not need a multitude of opportunities to bless you. He needs only one idea at the right time, to shift everything in your favor. One divine idea is enough to heal your relationships. Sometimes hearts are hardened, words have been spoken, bridges burned. You think it will take years to rebuild trust, yet one divine idea, a word spoken in love, an act of forgiveness, a new way of listening, can dissolve years of bitterness in a single moment. What was broken can be made whole, not by endless effort but by a flash of divine wisdom that reveals the higher way. One divine idea is enough to renew your health. The body, created in divine intelligence, responds to divine instruction. One idea may lead you to a practice, a change, a revelation that restores vitality where there was weakness. Healing is not always in the multitude of treatments, but in the alignment with one inspired truth, that life flows through you and every cell can be renewed. One divine idea is enough to give your life purpose. So many wander, asking, "Why am I here? What is my mission?" They seek answers in books, in advice, in endless searching. But when the divine idea comes, the purpose becomes clear. You suddenly see that everything you have lived, every experience, every gift, has been preparing you for this one vision. You no longer question, for you know. And in that knowing, strength arises. The truth is, divine ideas are all around us, waiting to be received. They are not scarce. They are not hidden from you. They are hidden for you, waiting for the moment your heart is quiet, open, and receptive. The problem is not the absence of divine ideas. It is often that we are too busy, too worried, too anxious to hear them. Anxiety drowns out inspiration, but peace makes space for it. When you trust, when you affirm that your steps are guided, when you quiet your mind long enough to listen, the idea appears. And when it appears, it will resonate with your spirit. You will know that you know. Sometimes, a divine idea may seem small. It may look insignificant, even foolish to others. But remember, a mustard seed is small, yet it contains the power to grow into a mighty tree. A divine idea may come as a gentle nudge. Start here. Call this person. Try this path. If you dismiss it because it seems too simple, you miss the miracle. The great breakthroughs of life often begin with small beginnings. Do not despise them. The seed knows its destiny. Your role is to plant it and water it with faith. One divine idea does not only bless you, it blesses others. Divine ideas carry within them the essence of service, of upliftment, of abundance for all. When an idea is truly divine, it does not harm. It does not take from another. It does not diminish anyone. It multiplies good. It creates harmony. It uplifts all involved. That is how you know it is divine. It blesses everyone it touches. If one divine idea can change your life, then the question is, how do you receive it? You receive it by making God your consultant, by aligning yourself with His wisdom, by affirming daily, "I am guided to the right ideas. I am open to divine inspiration. I receive the perfect plan." You receive it in prayer, in meditation, in the quiet moments when you release struggle and listen. You receive it by trusting that guidance is always present, even if it comes in unexpected ways. A stranger's words, a line from a book, a sudden thought, all may be carriers of the idea you need. When the divine idea comes, act on it. Do not delay. Do not analyze it to death. Do not wait for the perfect conditions. Conditions become perfect when you move in faith. The Red Sea did not part until the people stepped forward. Water did not flow from the rock until it was struck. The miracle unfolds when you move. Obedience to inspiration is the key to manifestation. One divine idea can take you from obscurity to prominence, from struggle to overflow, from confusion to clarity. You do not need to know how it will all unfold. The how belongs to God. Your role is to receive, to believe, and to act. Success is not the product of endless effort, it is the fruit of alignment with the one right idea. And so I say to you today, stop striving after 1,000 plans. Stop wearing yourself out chasing opportunities that are not meant for you. Instead, turn inward, seek divine counsel, and trust that one idea is enough. When that idea comes, hold it, treasure it, act upon it, and watch how everything begins to shift in your favor. The right people will appear, the right doors will open, the right resources will flow. For the idea carries its own provision. One divine idea is enough to make the impossible possible. It is enough to lift you into your destiny. It is enough to write a new story for your life. It is enough because it is not merely an idea, it is God breathing His plan into your heart. And when God breathes, creation responds. So today, open your spirit, expect the idea. Affirm that it is already on its way to you. Say within yourself, I am ready for the divine idea that will transform my life. I am listening, I am receptive, I am guided. And as you live in that expectancy, the idea will come. When it does, do not doubt, do not delay, and do not despise small beginnings. For within that one idea is the abundance you have been seeking, the breakthrough you have been waiting for, the success you were created to walk in. One divine idea is enough. It always has been, and it always will be. Trust it, receive it, act on it, and let it carry you into the life of abundance and success that is already yours by divine right. To consult God in every matter is to live a life of wisdom, order, and divine success. Many people make the mistake of believing that God should only be consulted in great emergencies, in times of crisis, or when the burden of life becomes too heavy to carry. Yet the truth is this: when you walk with God daily, when you include Him in every step, every choice, every thought, then you are shielded from unnecessary mistakes, guided into divine opportunities, and prepared for blessings greater than you could have imagined. Life becomes not a battlefield of struggle but a garden where things grow in season because they are rooted in divine timing. The reason many people feel lost, anxious, or unprepared is not because God has withheld guidance, but because they never stop to ask. They rush forward with their own plans, leaning on human reasoning, and only when those plans collapse do they cry out for help. Yet when you make it a habit to consult God in every matter, you step into a rhythm of grace. Decisions no longer feel heavy, directions become clear, and even the small details of life are touched by divine order. Consulting God is not weakness, it is wisdom. The world praises self-reliance, but true strength comes from dependence on divine intelligence. For what is self-reliance without God but leaning on a branch that will one day break? Human logic is limited. It sees only what the eye can observe and what the mind can calculate. But divine wisdom sees the whole picture, past, present, and future, because it is infinite. When you consult God, you align yourself with infinite intelligence. Suddenly, what was confusing becomes simple, what looked impossible becomes possible, and what seemed delayed is revealed as perfect timing. Think of a traveler in a strange land who refuses to use a map. He may stumble upon a few right turns, but mostly he will waste time, lose energy, and feel frustrated. But the one who carries a guide, who checks the direction at every step, walks with confidence, never wasting time, always on the right road. Life is no different. Without divine consultation, we are wanderers, guessing our way. With divine consultation, we are guided travelers, assured that each step is in the right direction. One of the most powerful truths is that God cares about every detail. He is not only concerned with your career, your health, or your finances in the big picture. He is interested in the details, the words you speak, the choices you make in daily affairs, the people you connect with, even the small habits that shape your destiny. There is no part of your life too trivial for divine guidance. When you invite God to direct even the smallest matters, you live in constant harmony with His will. Some may ask, but how can I consult God in every matter? Must I stop at every turn and wait for a voice? The answer is simple. To consult God is to cultivate a consciousness of His presence. It is to keep your mind attuned to His guidance. Sometimes it is a prayer before a decision, sometimes it is a pause to listen inwardly, sometimes it is the practice of declaring, God, show me the right way. Guidance does not always come as a booming voice from heaven, often it comes as a gentle nudge, an inspired thought, a sense of peace when the right choice appears. The more you practice, the clearer His guidance becomes. When you ignore divine consultation, life feels heavy. You chase opportunities that do not belong to you, you enter partnerships that drain your spirit. You say yes when the spirit within was whispering no. But when you consult God, you are protected from false appearances. Not every open door is yours to walk through. Some doors are distractions, others are traps. God, in His wisdom, knows which door leads to blessing and which leads to loss. When you trust his counsel, you may pass by opportunities that look glittering but would have ended in regret, and instead you are guided to choices that may look simple but lead to lasting prosperity. To consult God in every matter is also to acknowledge him as your true source. The world trains people to rely on experts, advisors, books, and systems, and while these have their place, they are limited by human understanding. Experts can misjudge, advisors can be wrong, systems can fail, but God is infallible. His wisdom never errs, his plan never collapses, his supply never ends. When you consult him first, he may indeed direct you to the right expert, the right resource, or the right opportunity, but you know the source is higher. You walk with the assurance that you are not dependent on human wisdom alone, but on divine wisdom flowing through human channels. There is a spiritual law at work here. When you consult God first, the entire universe rearranges to support you. People appear at the right time, resources come from unexpected places, ideas drop into your mind like gifts from heaven. But when you neglect this law and move in your own strength, you may still achieve something, but it comes with strain, delay, and often disappointment. Divine consultation removes the strain. It turns struggle into flow. Imagine waking up each morning and beginning your day with the declaration, God, I consult you in all that I do today. Direct my steps, guide my choices. Order my words. That declaration creates alignment. Throughout the day, you become more sensitive to divine nudges, more aware of when to act and when to wait, more confident in the choices you make. And in the evening, when you look back, you see a pattern of guidance. A day where everything seemed to fall into place, not by accident, but by design. The reason many live in confusion is because they separate life into compartments. Spiritual matters are for God, practical matters are for themselves. They pray about their health but not about their work, or they ask guidance for their children but not for their finances. But the principle is clear: consult God in every matter. If he cares for the lilies of the field and the birds of the air, how much more does he care for the details of your life? When you include him in all things, nothing is left outside of his order. Sometimes divine consultation requires patience. Human nature wants instant answers, quick results, immediate clarity. But often the answer comes in timing, not in rushing. Consulting God teaches you to wait when the way is not yet clear, to move only when peace is present, and to trust that what you need will be revealed exactly when it is needed. This patience saves you from costly mistakes. It keeps you from forcing doors open that were never meant for you. It allows God's perfect timing to bring things together in harmony. When you consult God in every matter, even your challenges change. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You ask, God, what is the higher lesson here? What steps should I take in alignment with your will? And suddenly the challenge turns into a stepping stone. What seemed like a problem becomes a path to growth. What appeared as loss is revealed as preparation for greater gain. In this way, even obstacles serve your success, because you have consulted the one who knows how to turn all things for good. Consultation with God also brings peace of mind. Many people live in constant worry because they carry the burden of decision-making alone. They fear making the wrong choice, missing the opportunity, or taking the wrong turn. But when you have consulted God, you are free from this burden. You know that the decision has been guided, the path has been ordered, and the outcome is secure. Even if you cannot yet see the full picture, you walk in peace because you trust the consultant who sees all. This peace is one of the greatest treasures of divine consultation. For what is success without peace? Many achieve wealth but lose sleep, build careers but lose joy, gather possessions but lose harmony. True success is peace-filled, and that peace comes from knowing that you are guided by a wisdom higher than yourself. Consulting God in every matter is also an act of humility. It acknowledges that you do not know everything, that your vision is limited, that you need guidance. Humility opens the door to grace, pride closes it. The moment you think you can do it all alone is the moment you cut yourself off from infinite help. But when you humbly say, God, I need your wisdom, the gates of heaven open, and you are flooded with light, direction, and clarity. The great secret is that divine consultation is not meant to be occasional. It is meant to be constant. It is not only for great crisis but for daily living. Ask God before you speak. Ask him before you act. Ask him before you sign, before you commit, before you decide. And then listen for the inner witness, the sense of peace, the divine confirmation. This simple practice will save you from countless errors and lead you into countless blessings. The truth is this: every problem you have ever faced could have been avoided or solved faster if you had consulted God first. Every missed opportunity could have been replaced with a better one if you had listened to his timing. Every wasted effort could have been redirected into fruitful work if you had allowed his guidance. Life becomes unnecessarily hard only when we insist on living without consultation. But the moment you return to this practice, everything changes. The path becomes smoother, the outcomes brighter, and the blessings greater. Therefore, make it your daily practice. Consult God in every matter. Let this become the habit of your life. When you rise in the morning, dedicate your day. As you move through your work, pause to ask for wisdom. When challenges appear, invite his perspective. When opportunities arise, seek his confirmation. When decisions loom, wait for his peace. Do this consistently and your life will be transformed. The promise is sure. Those who acknowledge God in all their ways will see their paths directed. This is not a poetic thought but a spiritual law. Acknowledge him, consult him, align with him, and you will walk in divine order. The right people, the right timing, the right doors, the right outcomes, all will be yours without strain. So I leave you with this truth. Consulting God is not an interruption to life. It is the very secret of life. It is the shortest road to success, the surest path to peace, and the greatest safeguard against failure. Say within yourself daily, I consult God in every matter. His wisdom protects me. His order governs my life. Hold this truth, live it, and watch as your life unfolds in perfect harmony, guided step by the one who knows the end from the beginning. Delays are not denials. To the human mind, any pause, any waiting, any period where things seem still, feels like rejection. But in truth, delay is often the most profound proof of divine order working behind the scenes. When a farmer plants a seed, he does not run to the field the next day to demand fruit. He knows there is a sacred timing to sprouting, budding, and blossoming. The silence beneath the soil is not death, it is preparation. In the same way, when your prayer seems unanswered, when your desire seems slow to appear, it is not a denial, it is God arranging, aligning, and perfecting the details so that your harvest is not just partial, but full and overflowing. Many people lose faith in the season of delay. They confuse delay with defeat, or they mistake preparation for punishment. But Spirit is never punishing. Spirit is always preparing. What looks to your eyes like stillness is often great movement in the unseen realm. Divine mind works beyond your vision. Paths are being cleared, people are being positioned, resources are being readied. If the answer came too soon, you would not be ready to receive it, or it would not be in its highest form. A delay is divine mercy ensuring that nothing comes before its time, and everything arrives in its perfect order. Consider the story of those who wait years for a dream to come to pass. At first, they may struggle thinking they are forgotten, but in the waiting, something powerful happens. They are refined, deepened, matured. The very waiting becomes their teacher. It strips away fear, doubt, and impatience. It strengthens faith like a muscle tested under weight. And when the dream finally arrives, they are no longer the same. They are greater, stronger, wiser, and able to hold the blessing without losing it. Delay is the womb of transformation. If everything you desired appeared instantly, you would never develop the faith, patience, or character needed to sustain the blessing. A house cannot be built on sand. The foundation must be strong. So in the delay, Spirit lays the foundation beneath you, making you unshakable. When the structure of your life is complete, then the blessing rests securely on top, never to be taken away. Delays teach trust. They teach us to lean on God rather than our own timelines. Human beings live by clocks and calendars, but the divine operates by seasons. A flower does not bloom in winter simply because you are impatient. It blooms when the sun, soil, and season align. If you demand it before its time, you only bring frustration. But when you understand that seasons are sacred, you rest in faith, knowing spring must come. No winter lasts forever. Every waiting season is temporary, and every delay is a preparation for the appointed time. Think of the archer who pulls the bowstring back. To the untrained eye, it looks as though the arrow is being pulled away from the target. But in truth, the backward pull is the very tension that gives the arrow its power to fly forward. In the same way, your delay is not pushing you away from your goal. It is gathering the force to launch you into your destiny with greater speed and precision. How often have you prayed for something and found it did not come when you expected? Perhaps you asked for financial abundance, but it seemed delayed. Yet during that waiting, you learned wisdom with money, discipline in stewardship, and generosity in spirit. By the time the supply flowed, you were ready to handle it responsibly and share it freely. If the money had come earlier, it may have slipped through careless hands. Delay was not denial, it was protection. Or perhaps you desired a relationship, a partnership, a union of hearts. It seemed slow in coming. But during the delay, you healed old wounds, gained clarity, and discovered your true worth. By the time the right person entered, you no longer settled for less than divine love. The delay was not loneliness. It was self-discovery preparing you for real companionship. When we see delays through divine eyes, we stop fearing them. We stop fighting time. We learn to say, this pause is not punishment. It is preparation. I am not being refined. My good is not withheld. It is being multiplied. That shift in perception changes everything. Instead of anxiety, there is peace. Instead of bitterness, there is gratitude. Instead of hopelessness, there is expectant joy. Delay is also the test of faith. Anyone can believe when the answer comes quickly. But true faith is proven when there is silence, when days stretch into months and months into years? Do you still trust in the unseen? Do you still speak words of victory when circumstances look unchanged? The ones who pass the test of delay are the ones who become unshakable manifestors of divine good. Their faith is no longer fragile, it is a fortress. It is in delay that words matter most. Every day you speak is a seed. In the waiting, your words of faith water the soil. If you complain, you choke the seed. If you doubt, you dig it up. But if you persist in speaking truth, when good is on the way, nothing can block it. Delay is not denial. All is in divine order. Then the seed grows strong and the harvest is inevitable. Delay also protects us from counterfeit blessings. Sometimes what you think you want is not truly yours by divine right. If it came quickly, you might accept something lesser, mistaking it for the real. But in waiting, the counterfeit falls away, and the true blessing stands revealed. God does not withhold. He protects you from what is not yours so that what is truly yours may come without interference. Remember, what is yours by divine right cannot be withheld, and what is not yours will never stay. Delay is simply the separation process, removing the false so the true may appear. This truth should fill you with peace. You are not missing out, you are being guided into what is best. Think of a sculptor chiseling stone. To the eye, it may look like delay, as if the final figure is slow to appear, but each strike of the chisel removes what does not belong, shaping what already exists within. The beauty was always there, hidden in the stone. The delay was only the process of unveiling. So it is with your life. Your blessing already exists in the unseen. Delay is only the chiseling away of obstacles until it can appear in form. Therefore, celebrate the delay. See it not as a curse but as a blessing. Say to yourself, this pause is divine timing. My good is not lost, my prayer is not denied. The answer is forming, the path is aligning, and in the perfect moment, all will appear with ease. That affirmation transforms waiting into worship. Even nature testifies that delay is never denial. Clouds gather before rain falls. The tide pulls back before a wave surges forward. The night grows darkest before dawn. Delay is the pregnant pause before manifestation. If you misjudge it, you despair. But if you trust it, you rejoice, knowing the delivery is near. The delay is often shorter when faith is stronger. Fear and doubt extend the waiting by blocking the flow. But faith, gratitude, and expectancy shorten the season because they align you fully with divine supply. Imagine waiting for a letter in the mail. If you constantly doubt the mailman, run away from your house, or stop checking the mailbox, you prolong your receiving. But if you remain steady, watchful, and ready, the letter arrives and you are there to accept it. Faith is that readiness. The soul that learns the lesson of delay learns mastery. For once you stop fearing delay, nothing can shake your peace. You live above time knowing that all is unfolding as it should. You stop striving, competing, and comparing. You no longer say, why them not me? Instead you say, my time is sacred, my season is certain, and my blessing cannot be lost. This attitude draws your good more swiftly, because peace is the greatest magnet of all. Look back on your life. How many things did you once despair of, only to later realize the timing was perfect? How many doors closed, only to lead you to a better one? How many delays turned out to be the very preparation that made your blessing possible? If you see this clearly, you will never again complain in waiting. You will say, this too is for my good. This too is divine order. To live in this truth is freedom. No clock can terrify you. No calendar can control you. No delay can discourage you. For you know delay is not denial. Delay is divine orchestration. And orchestration means beauty, harmony, and perfection. So today, rest in faith. Do not mistake the silence for rejection. Do not misjudge the stillness for absence. The answer is nearer than you think. The season is preparing to change. What is yours is already yours, and nothing, no person, no circumstance, no delay can keep it from you. Repeat within yourself, I trust divine timing. Delays are not denials. My good is certain. My season is sure. My harvest is coming in full measure. Say it until your heart rests, until your mind calms, until your spirit rejoices. And then watch. For soon what seemed delayed will arrive suddenly, abundantly, and perfectly. When it does, you will understand. You will see why the delay was needed. You will realize that nothing was ever withheld. It was only being prepared. And you will give thanks, not only for the blessing, but for the waiting that made you ready. Delays are not denials. They are divine appointments in disguise. Trust them, embrace them, and let them shape you. For when your season comes, you will stand in awe, knowing the wait was worth it all. The ego misleads, wisdom uplifts. This truth is one of the greatest revelations we can embrace in our journey toward success, peace, and divine abundance. The ego speaks loudly, quickly, and often with fear. It insists on its own way, demanding recognition, pushing for control, and whispering doubts whenever faith dares to rise. Yet true wisdom is gentle, steady, and powerful. It does not shout, but when we listen, its guidance is clear and unwavering. Wisdom is the voice of God within, the eternal consultant who knows the path to peace, prosperity, and fulfillment. The ego lives in the realm of appearances. It is swayed by what it sees, hears, and feels in the external world. It panics at delays, trembles at obstacles, and calculates by limited reasoning. It tells you that you must hurry, you must fight, you must prove yourself. But wisdom sees beyond appearances. It is rooted in eternal truth, not temporary shadows. Where the ego sees lack, wisdom declares abundance. Where the ego sees failure, wisdom assures you that every step, even the missteps, are working together for good. The ego seeks to control outcomes, but wisdom teaches surrender. Not surrender to defeat, but surrender to higher order, divine timing, and perfect unfolding. The ego says, I must make this happen. Wisdom says, what is meant for me cannot pass me by. The ego wants to grasp, while wisdom allows, trusts, and receives. The ego misleads because it pulls us into fear-driven action, but wisdom uplifts because it anchors us in faith-driven alignment. How many times have people rushed into choices, pushed doors that were not theirs to open, or held tightly to things that were meant to leave, only to suffer? That is the way of the ego. It clings, it demands, it fears losing control. Yet when one learns to listen to wisdom, everything changes. Wisdom whispers, wait here. The right door is opening. Wisdom nudges, release this, for something greater is coming. And when that guidance is obeyed, life flows without the strain and turmoil the ego produces. The ego misleads because it pretends to know all things, but it only knows limitation. It plans from the past, from old patterns and fears. It uses memory, but it cannot see the divine design. Wisdom uplifts because it knows the unseen. It draws from infinite intelligence, from divine mind. It sees the full picture when we see only fragments. Wisdom says, take this step of faith, even when it seems illogical. And once the step is taken, miracles appear, supply flows, and the right connections are made. Ego is rooted in separation. It says, I am alone. I must fight for myself. No one is here to help me. This thought misleads because it ignores the truth that we are never alone. The Spirit of God dwells within, guiding, strengthening, and supplying. Wisdom uplifts because it reconnects us to this truth. It says, you are not abandoned. You are divinely guided. All things are working in your favor. When the heart accepts this, fear dissolves and confidence rises, not the arrogance of ego, but the quiet confidence of faith. The ego thrives on comparison. It looks at what others have, where others are, and begins to breed envy or insecurity. It says, they are ahead, you are behind. They are favored, you are forgotten. But wisdom uplifts by reminding us that divine timing is personal, perfect, and unique. No one can steal your destiny. What is yours by divine right cannot be withheld. Wisdom reminds you that your path is custom-made and nothing is delayed. It is all arriving in its perfect season. Ego is impatient. It demands results now, even if they are half-formed or unstable. It whispers, take the shortcut. Compromise your values. Rush ahead. But wisdom uplifts with patience. It says, wait for the perfect fruit, for what grows too quickly does not last. Many have taken shortcuts only to see their efforts collapse. But those who trust wisdom's timing see blessings that endure and multiply. The ego misleads by attaching identity to possessions, titles, and recognition. It says, you are what you own. You are your reputation. You are your achievements. And when those things shift, as they always do, one feels lost. But wisdom uplifts by reminding us of eternal identity. It says, you are a child of God, rich with divine inheritance. Your worth is unshakable, not measured by man, but rooted in the eternal. With this awareness, no loss can destroy you, no change can diminish you. The ego thrives on fear. It paints pictures of worst-case scenarios. It says, what if you fail? What if the supply dries up? What if you are rejected? It misleads by chaining the mind to worry and doubt. But wisdom uplifts by painting visions of victory. It says, God is for you, who can be against you? The supply is endless. The opportunity is prepared. Walk forward and see the good unfold. Wisdom does not ignore challenges, but it frames them as stepping stones, not stumbling blocks. The ego misleads by glorifying self-effort alone. It says, you are your own source. Work harder, strive more, and you will succeed. While effort has its place, the ego makes it a burden, a slavery to achievement. But wisdom uplifts by reminding us of partnership. It says, you are not your own source. God is your supply. Align with Him, and your work will bear fruit without strain. This is the effortless success that flows from divine alignment, not the exhausting chase the ego demands. The ego often misinterprets delays and obstacles as failure. It says, the door is closed, so you are denied. The waiting proves you are forgotten. But wisdom uplifts with perspective. It says, this delay is protection. This obstacle is redirection. Trust that what you seek is being prepared, or something greater is on the way. Many have looked back at closed doors and realized they were spared from harm. Wisdom sees ahead what the ego cannot. The ego misleads because it thrives on pride. It says, I know best, I don't need guidance. My way is the only way. Pride blinds. It keeps one from hearing divine counsel, but wisdom uplifts with humility. It says, not my will, but the higher will. Not my limited sight, but divine vision. And in that humility, doors swing wide, resources appear, and blessings pour forth. For humility opens what pride blocks. The ego feeds off noise. It thrives on the constant chatter of the world, opinions, news, judgments, and distractions. But wisdom uplifts in silence. It speaks in the quiet, when the heart is still. Wisdom is often drowned out by ego's loudness, but those who withdraw into stillness will always hear its gentle guidance. In meditation, prayer, and quiet reflection, wisdom rises above the noise and makes the path clear. The ego misleads because it resists change. It says, hold on to the old. Don't let go. Change is dangerous. But wisdom uplifts by embracing transformation. It says, release what no longer serves. Step into the new, for it carries your blessing. Many stay bound in jobs, relationships, or patterns long past their season because the ego fears the unknown. But those who listen to wisdom, who release when prompted, find that every ending carries a new beginning. Every loss conceals a gift. The ego misleads by convincing you that you must earn love, earn success, earn worthiness. It sets conditions. If you achieve this, then you are valuable. If you possess that, then you are enough. But wisdom uplifts by revealing unconditional truth. It says you are already worthy, you are already loved. Success flows not because you force it, but because you align with your divine nature. This truth sets the heart free from striving and opens the door for miracles to unfold. The ego sees the world as a battlefield where one must compete, outdo, and outshine others. It misleads by saying, there is not enough for all, so you must fight for your portion. But wisdom uplifts with abundance thinking. It says, the supply of God is infinite. There is enough for all. What is yours cannot be taken, and what belongs to another cannot be stolen. This mindset shifts one from jealousy and competition to generosity and collaboration. And in that generosity, doors of success open wider. The ego misleads because it binds the mind to the past. It says, this is how it has always been. This is what happened before. Expect the same again. It chains you to old wounds, old patterns, old failures. But wisdom uplifts by offering a new beginning. It says, behold, I make all things new. Yesterday does not define today. Every day is a fresh canvas, and miracles are waiting. With wisdom, one steps out of history and into destiny. The ego thrives on self-centeredness. It says, it is all about me, my needs, my desires, my success. But wisdom uplifts by turning the focus outward and upward. It says, serve others, give freely, trust the flow. In serving, one is elevated. In giving, one receives. Wisdom understands that success is not hoarding but circulating, not taking but contributing. And in that flow, abundance multiplies. The ego misleads by confusing noise for progress. It loves business without purpose, motion without direction. It says, do more, rush more, pile your schedule higher. But wisdom uplifts with simplicity. It says, do what matters, follow divine direction. One step in alignment is worth more than 100 steps in confusion. Those who listen to wisdom accomplish more with less, for they are guided by precision rather than scattered by ego. The ego says, I must see it before I believe it. It misleads by making faith dependent on sight. But wisdom uplifts with vision. It says, believe it, and you will see it. Speak it, and it will manifest. Act as if it is done and it will be. Faith is the language of wisdom, and faith creates realities unseen by the ego's limited sight. The ego misleads because it is restless. It cannot be satisfied. No matter how much it gains, it always wants more. It says, once you reach this, then you will be happy. But wisdom uplifts with contentment. It says, rejoice now. Gratitude opens the door to more. Celebrate the present, and the future will overflow with blessings. In wisdom, peace is not postponed, it is lived now. The ego misleads because it thrives on illusion, but wisdom uplifts because it is grounded in truth. And truth always sets free. The moment we recognize the voice of ego for what it is, a shadow, a false guide, we can choose to tune into the voice of wisdom, the eternal consultant, the spirit of God within. There we find clarity, peace, abundance, and unfailing success. The ego misleads, wisdom uplifts. Choose wisdom and you will never be misled. Choose wisdom, and you will rise, prosper, and walk in unshakable abundance. Choose wisdom, and your life becomes not a struggle of fear, but a testimony of faith. For wisdom is the voice of God, and his voice never fails. God never advises fear. Fear is the great enemy of progress, the silent thief of blessings, the invisible wall that blocks the flow of abundance. Every whisper of fear is foreign to the voice of divine wisdom. The counsel of the infinite is never wrapped in dread, anxiety, or doubt. Instead, it comes clothed in peace, clothed in assurance, clothed in light that dispels the shadows of uncertainty. Whenever you hear a voice that stirs panic, whenever you sense an impulse that shakes your faith, know this: it is not from God. The divine voice is always steady, calm, and clear. It may direct you to move boldly when your own reasoning trembles. It may guide you to take steps beyond your comfort zone, but never will it advise from fear. The higher wisdom always says, trust, move forward, I am with you. Fear is the language of limitation, faith is the language of God. So many live chained by the counsel of fear. They consult with worry before they consult with spirit. They plan their days around what might go wrong instead of what must go right under divine law. And then they wonder why their efforts crumble, why their dreams dissolve, why their hands come back empty. They built their plans on sand, not on the rock of God's guidance. Every time you make fear your consultant, you step into confusion. Fear will always give poor advice. Don't try, don't move, don't risk, don't trust. It paints 1,000 images of disaster, but none of them are true. Fear imagines storms that never arrive, enemies that never appear, failures that never materialize. It is a false prophet speaking lies about tomorrow. But when God is your consultant, his word cuts through fear's illusions. He says, "Fear not, for I am with you. Be strong and courageous, I will uphold you." His counsel is unwavering because truth is never shaken. When you align with divine guidance, fear loses its grip. You begin to see that you are not alone, you are not powerless, you are not at the mercy of circumstance. You are backed by the law of the Spirit, the principle that governs the universe, the wisdom that created worlds. What is there to fear when the infinite walks beside you? If God is for you, who or what can truly be against you? Every appearance of danger, every sign of lack, every whisper of failure dissolves when you stand on this truth. The reason fear advises so many people is because they mistake nervousness for wisdom. They confuse anxiety with caution and panic with prudence. But divine wisdom is never anxious, never rushed, never desperate. God never pushes you into decisions with dread. His guidance is like the steady flow of a river, calm, certain, and unstoppable. You may feel the urge to act, but it will be an urge born of peace, not terror. It will be a step carried by faith, not by panic. Look around at the world. Businesses crumble because leaders follow fear. Families break because members listen to fear. Dreams die because souls bow to fear's counsel. But the rare few who rise above are those who tune out fear's noise and tune into God's still small voice. And that voice never says be afraid, it's trust. Walk forward. I go before you. A fear will always predict loss, but God always declares victory. Fear will always emphasize what you lack, but God always reveals what you have. Fear shrinks, God expands. Fear closes doors, God opens them. Fear limits, God multiplies. Fear binds, God frees. Fear speaks in tremors, but God speaks in triumph. When you realize that fear has no authority over you, you begin to live boldly. You start projects others call impossible. You walk paths others are too timid to tread. You speak words others are too fearful to voice. And the amazing thing is this: you succeed because you are not aligned with human fear but with divine law. The law of abundance, the law of order, the law of right action. They cannot be broken. They uphold you as surely as gravity holds the earth, and fear has no power to alter divine law. God never advises fear because fear is not real. It is only an illusion, a shadow without substance. It is a trick of the mind, a mirage on the road of life. Faith alone has substance. Faith is the evidence of things unseen, the assurance of things hoped for. Faith is real, fear is counterfeit. Faith is wealth, fear is bankruptcy. Faith is health, fear is sickness. Faith is love, fear is separation. Faith builds, fear destroys. And God is never in the business of destruction, only in the business of creation. Whenever you face a decision, listen carefully. Does this inner voice make you afraid, or does it give you peace? If it stirs panic, it is not God. If it brings calm even when the step looks bold, that is the divine consultant speaking. God never says, be careful, disaster is near. He says, step forward. The way is clear. He never says, hold back in fear. He says, move ahead in faith. He never says, there is not enough. He says, my supply is limitless. He never says, you will fail. He says, with me you cannot fail. So when fear rises, you must answer it. Do not bow, do not tremble, do not obey. Speak to it boldly. You are not my advisor. God is my consultant. I will not take counsel from shadows when I am guided by light. And as you speak, fear loses its power, for faith drives it out like fire consumes darkness. There is a great secret here. The only power fear has is the power you give it. It cannot act on its own. It has no energy except what you lend it by believing its lies. But the moment you withdraw your belief, it vanishes. You see it was nothing all along. And when you replace belief in fear with trust in God, miracles happen. Doors open where there were none, supply arrives when all seemed lost, healing flows when sickness tried to linger, peace returns when anxiety shouted loud. Because God never advises fear, and when you stop listening to fear, you hear Him clearly. Think of how much energy is wasted when people live by fear. Sleepless nights worrying over what never happens, endless hours imagining problems that never come. What if all that energy were poured into faith instead? What if those same thoughts were turned toward divine possibility instead of imagined disaster? The results would be astounding. That is the transformation waiting for you when you shift your consultant from fear to God. When God is your consultant, you live with expectancy, not dread. You wake each day asking, what blessing is on its way today? What miracle is unfolding for me now? You stop expecting bad news and start expecting divine supply. And because expectation is magnetic, your life begins to reflect what you believe. Fear attracts lack, but faith attracts abundance. Fear calls for disappointment, but faith calls for fulfillment. Fear invites loss, but faith invites increase. Do not be fooled by appearances. Life will present challenges, yes, but challenges are not disasters, they are opportunities. They are invitations to prove that divine law works, to prove that God's principles never fail. Fear will tell you, this is the end. God will tell you, this is the beginning of something greater. Fear will say, you cannot handle this. God will say, through me, you are more than able. Fear will say, there is no way. God will say, I am the way. Let us settle this truth deep within. God never advises fear. His word is always faith, always power, always assurance. If you build your life on this truth, no storm can shake you. You may hear fear knocking at your door, but you will not open, because you know the voice of your true consultant. And his voice never shakes, never trembles, never hesitates. The moment you align with this principle, your success is certain. Fear cannot derail you, because you no longer heed it. You rise above its noise. You step into divine order, divine abundance, divine confidence. Your decisions flow with clarity, your path unfolds with ease, your heart rests in peace. For the one who guides you has never once spoken in fear, and never will. So live with this assurance. God never advises fear. Fear is not your guide, not your teacher, not your master. Your only consultant is God, and his advice is always the same. Trust, believe, move forward, and know that all things are working for your good. Stand on this truth, and your life will bear witness. Success aligned with his principles is unshakable, and nothing, not even the shadow of fear, can stand against it. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. This divine truth reveals that the spoken word carries the essence of creation itself. Our words are not mere sounds in the air, they are spiritual forces, shaping the invisible into the visible, molding experience, and commanding the flow of our lives. To speak is to sow. To declare is to plant seeds in the soil of the universe. Right words create right outcomes, for words are carriers of faith, intention, and divine energy. Many live unaware of the power resting on their own tongues. They speak carelessly, uttering words of fear, doubt, or lack, and then wonder why their lives mirror confusion and scarcity. But the universe responds not to idle hopes but to consistent declarations. Life reflects the words we speak, because words are the blueprint of manifestation. If you build with words of lack, you will experience lack. If you build with words of abundance, you will reap abundance. Words are bridges between the seen and the unseen. They call forth realities from the spiritual into the material. Consider how often people declare, I am broke, I can't afford that, or nothing ever works out for me. These words, once spoken, do not vanish. They take root. They draw to themselves experiences to confirm their truth. Every I am statement is a decree, either toward life or toward death, toward prosperity or toward poverty, toward peace or toward turmoil. When we say, I am sick, we plant the seed of illness. When we say, I am weak, we empower weakness. Yet when we say, I am whole, I am strong, I am supplied by infinite abundance, we align our being with divine law, and the invisible power of spirit rushes to make it so. The law of right words is not superstition. It is spiritual science. Just as the farmer knows that planting apple seeds brings forth apple trees, so the wise know that words of health, wealth, and success bring forth corresponding conditions. The soil of the universe does not question what you plant. It receives your words and multiplies them. The harvest will always reflect the seed. Speak wrongly, reap wrongly. Speak rightly, reap rightly. The harvest is sure. Right words are words aligned with divine principles. They are words spoken in faith, not in fear. They are words of truth, not of illusion. They are words that affirm the abundance, order, and perfection of God's universe rather than denying it. When we align our speech with divine truth, we invite the whole universe to cooperate with us. Angels, opportunities, and resources assemble themselves to fulfill the decree. As it is written, you shall decree a thing, and it shall be established unto you. Words do not merely describe life, they command it. If you desire success, you must speak success. Say, everything I touch prospers. I am guided to right action. I am a magnet for divine ideas and opportunities. If you desire healing, declare, the life of God flows through me, renewing every cell. I am vibrant with divine energy. If you desire abundance, affirm, wealth of every kind is drawn to me. I live in the flow of infinite supply. These are not empty affirmations. They are keys that unlock doors in the unseen realm. Each repetition strengthens the blueprint until it becomes reality. Faith, charged words reshape the atmosphere around you, rearranging circumstances to match your decree. Some may say, but I have spoken right words before, and nothing happened. Understand this: words are not magic tricks, they are spiritual laws. If you plant seeds in a field today, you do not reap the harvest tomorrow. You water them, nurture them, and protect them until the harvest comes. So it is with words. Sometimes the harvest is swift, and other times it matures slowly, but it always comes. Words spoken in faith must be followed with patience and expectancy. Doubt uproots seeds, faith secures them. Another key is consistency. Many sabotage their harvest by speaking right words one day and wrong words the next. They declare, "I am prosperous," in the morning but complain, "I can't make ends meet," by evening. Such contradictions cancel the power of the decree. The universe listens for consistency. Just as a compass points to true north, your words must point continually toward the outcome you desire. Right words are not occasional phrases but a lifestyle of speech aligned with truth. We must also watch the words we speak about others. The law does not discriminate. If you curse another with your words, you plant seeds that will return to your own field. If you gossip, criticize, or declare lack over another, you affirm that energy in your own experience. But if you bless, encourage, and speak life into others, you draw blessings, encouragement, and life back into your own path. Speak to others as though you were watering your own garden, for indeed you are. Right words also require right inner attitude. To speak "I am prosperous," while harboring resentment or fear weakens the decree. The inner vibration must agree with the spoken word. This is why faith is vital. Faith gives words their creative charge. When spoken with belief, words carry fire. When spoken with doubt, they are but empty shells. Right words spring from a heart that knows divine truth and refuses to be shaken by appearances. Faith does not deny the existence of challenges, it simply declares the higher truth that overrules them. Every challenge is an invitation to speak right words. When lack appears, speak abundance. When sickness arises, declare health. When confusion surrounds you, speak clarity and order. Words are not meant to describe what is but to call forth what shall be. Do not waste your speech describing conditions. Use your words to transform them. Say, "This appearance of lack is only temporary. God's supply flows to me now in perfect order." The more you affirm, the more you align with higher realities, until the appearance dissolves. Children instinctively show the power of words. A child will declare boldly, "When I grow up, I will be a doctor, a teacher, an artist." The child believes without hesitation. The world has not yet taught them doubt. And often, that which they declare with innocence becomes their reality. So too must we return to childlike faith in our words. To believe what we speak with unwavering certainty is to unleash the same creative force that spoke the stars into being. If we look at history, the greatest leaders and visionaries were men and women of words. They spoke vision before it manifested. They declared freedom when chains still bound. They spoke victory when defeat seemed certain. Words precede reality. What you speak today becomes the soil of tomorrow. Speak wisely, for you are writing the script of your future. There is also power in silence. To refrain from speaking wrong words is as vital as speaking right words. If you cannot yet speak words of faith, then guard your tongue and say nothing until you can. Silence preserves the field from weeds until you are ready to sow with intention. Rash, fearful words are often the very snares that delay manifestation. Train your tongue to pause before you speak so that every word may be a seed of blessing. Gratitude is another form of right words. To say, "Thank you, God, for my abundance," even before it appears, is to water the seed of manifestation with faith. Gratitude declares that the blessing is already yours, and the universe rushes to confirm it. Gratitude is not only polite, it is powerful. It accelerates the harvest of your words. Daily practice transforms the tongue into an instrument of power. Begin each day with declarations. "This is a day of blessings. I am guided, guarded, and supplied. Doors of opportunity open before me. Divine ideas lead me to success." Speak these not as hopes, but as certainties. End each day with words of peace. "I rest in divine order. All is well. Tomorrow will bring even greater blessings." The steady rhythm of right words reshapes the subconscious and tunes your life to divine harmony. Even in moments of failure or mistake, right words can redeem. Do not condemn yourself with words like, "I am a failure," or "I always get it wrong." Instead, declare, "Every setback is a setup for greater success. I learn, I grow, I rise higher." Redemption is always in the tongue. The moment you choose new words, you choose a new destiny. Beloved, the tongue is small but mighty. It can curse or it can bless. It can destroy or it can build. It can close doors or it can open the floodgates of heaven. The choice lies in every sentence we utter. Train your tongue, for it is the steering wheel of your life. Direct it toward truth, abundance, and success, and your life cannot help but follow. Remember, always right words create right outcomes. To speak is to command. To declare is to invite divine forces into action. The tongue aligned with divine principles is unstoppable. Let no idle word escape your lips. Let every declaration be charged with faith. Say continually, "I am guided, I am supplied, I am successful, I am in harmony with God's abundance." Soon you will watch with awe as your words return as blessings, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. In the end, life is not happening to us but responding to us. The universe is echoing the sound of our words. If the echo has been harsh, change the sound. If the reflection has been dim, change the decree. Begin today. Speak life, speak abundance, speak victory. For every right word is a stone laid in the foundation of your destiny, and the building will stand firm and radiant for all to see. Right words create right outcomes, and when spoken with faith, they open the way to a life overflowing with divine success, peace, and prosperity. Integrity is magnetic. It is the invisible force that draws to you what is yours by divine right. It does not chase, it does not beg, it does not manipulate. Integrity stands firm, grounded in truth, and allows success, prosperity, and right relationships to flow naturally. Where there is integrity, there is order. Where there is order, there is peace. And where there is peace, there is power. The world is filled with people chasing after success, trying to bend the rules, cutting corners, or using cleverness to advance themselves. Yet their victories are shallow, temporary, and often come at the expense of their own peace of mind. But when you walk in integrity, you do not have to chase. You do not have to force. You do not have to manipulate. You simply align with divine principles, and the universe responds to that alignment by bringing to you what belongs to you without resistance. Why is integrity magnetic? Because integrity is truth in action. And truth always resonates. Truth does not need to be advertised, decorated, or exaggerated. Truth carries its own weight. When you stand in truth, people feel it. They may not always be able to explain why they trust you, why they want to work with you, why they are drawn to your presence, but the answer is simple: integrity has a vibration, and it calls forth recognition in the hearts of others. Think of the law of attraction. Like attracts like. If you carry deception, you will attract deception. If you carry fear, you will attract circumstances that confirm fear. But if you walk in integrity, you attract integrity. You become a beacon for right people, right opportunities, and right resources. Those who are aligned with truth find you, and those who are not aligned with truth are gently removed from your path. This is the beauty of divine order. Many people believe success requires compromise. Compromise of values, compromise of honesty, compromise of the soul. They say, you cannot win in this world if you play fair. But that is the lie of fear. Real success is never won through dishonor. Even if it appears to bring temporary gain, it will collapse in time. A business built on lies eventually crumbles. A relationship built on deception eventually falls apart. A reputation built on falsehood eventually collapses under its own weight. But a life built on integrity cannot be shaken. It stands because it is rooted in eternal law. Imagine two trees. One grows quickly, but its roots are shallow. The moment a storm comes, it topples. The other grows steadily, perhaps not as fast, but its roots sink deep into the earth. When the storm comes, it bends but does not break. That is the difference between success without integrity and success with integrity. One is temporary, the other eternal. One is fragile, the other unshakable. Integrity is not only about honesty in words, but also about honesty in intention. Sometimes people say the right thing, but their motives are impure. They may give, but only to receive. They may smile, but only to hide envy. Integrity goes deeper than appearances. It is about alignment between thought, word, and action. It is the inner consistency that says, I am the same in private as I am in public. My actions reflect my words, and my words reflect my heart. When you live in this alignment, you become magnetic because there is no contradiction within you. Contradiction creates confusion, and confusion repels opportunities. But harmony creates clarity, and clarity attracts abundance. The clearer your vibration, the stronger your attraction. Integrity is the clarity of the soul. Now let us consider how integrity magnetizes success. Imagine a businessperson who is honest in all dealings. They may lose a sale because they refuse to exaggerate claims, but in the long run, they gain loyal customers who trust them. Trust is the currency of true wealth. Money comes and goes, but trust endures. A person of integrity may not always rise as quickly as others, but when they rise, they remain. People seek them out, not because of clever marketing, but because their name carries weight. That is magnetism. Consider also relationships. A person of integrity does not have to chase affection, manipulate emotions, or pretend to be something they are not. Their honesty, loyalty, and authenticity naturally attract those who value the same. They do not fear being left behind, for they know that what is theirs cannot be withheld. Integrity attracts what belongs to it and repels what does not. In spiritual matters, integrity is equally magnetic. When your prayers are aligned with your actions, power is released. Many people pray for abundance yet act in fear and dishonesty. Such contradiction blocks the flow. But when you pray for abundance and act with honesty, generosity, and trust, the channel opens wide. Heaven responds to integrity. It is the evidence that you are ready for divine supply. Integrity is also magnetic because it creates inner confidence. When you know you are walking in truth, you do not live in fear of exposure. You do not worry about being caught in lies. You do not waste energy maintaining appearances. Your energy is free, focused, and clear. That energy radiates, and people sense it. They say, there is something about this person. I feel I can trust them. I feel safe around them. I want to work with them. That is the silent power of integrity. You may ask, But what about those who cheat, lie, and deceive, yet seem to prosper? Do not be fooled by appearances. Their prosperity is like a house built on sand. It may stand for a season, but when the tide rises, it will wash away. Do not envy them, for you do not know the cost of their dishonor. What they gain in money, they lose in peace. What they gain in applause, they lose in authenticity. True success leaves you whole, not broken. True success adds no sorrow. If you choose integrity, you may walk a narrower path, but it is a higher path, and on this path you never walk alone. Divine forces walk with you, unseen yet powerful, aligning circumstances for your good. The right clients, the right opportunities, the right resources, all appear at the appointed time. You do not need to run after them. You need only to remain in alignment with truth, and truth brings them to you. Integrity is also magnetic because it multiplies. When you choose truth once, it strengthens your spirit. When you choose it again, it becomes habit. Over time, integrity becomes your natural state, and its magnetism grows stronger. Like a magnet that increases in power as it is aligned with the field, your life becomes a stronger force for attraction the more you align with divine principles. There is also joy in integrity, to live without pretense, without disguise, without double-mindedness. This is freedom. And freedom itself is attractive. People are drawn to those who are free because freedom carries light. When you walk in integrity, your light shines, and that light draws others who are seeking the same path. So what must you do to become magnetic through integrity? Begin by aligning your words with your thoughts and your actions with your words. Do not promise what you cannot deliver. Do not flatter for gain. Do not pretend for approval. Speak the truth with love. Act with honesty. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. Each time you do this, you increase your magnetism. Next, trust the law of divine order. Integrity may sometimes seem costly in the moment. You may lose a deal, a relationship, or an opportunity by refusing to compromise. But know this: what is lost through integrity is never truly yours, and what is yours by divine right cannot be lost. The universe abhors dishonesty, but it blesses truth. What you think you lost will return multiplied in a higher form. Finally, live with courage. Integrity often requires courage. The courage to say no when others say yes, the courage to stand apart, the courage to risk misunderstanding. But courage and integrity together create unshakable power. When you live this way, you become unmovable, unshaken by storms, and unstoppable in destiny. Beloved soul, integrity is not just a moral choice. It is a spiritual law. It is the magnet that draws to you lasting success, divine provision, and peace that cannot be taken away. Choose integrity in every matter, great or small. Walk in truth even when no one sees, for the unseen always becomes the seen. And as you do, you will discover that success does not need to be chased. It comes to you drawn by the magnet of your integrity. Say within yourself now, I walk in integrity. My heart, my words, and my actions are aligned with truth. Integrity makes me magnetic. What belongs to me comes to me. Nothing can be withheld, for I stand in divine order. Success is drawn to me, effortlessly and eternally. Stand in this truth, and you will see. Integrity is not only magnetic, it is miraculous. Giving multiplies receiving. This is not merely a beautiful phrase to inspire the heart. It is a law, a principle as certain as the rising of the sun or the pull of gravity. To understand it is to step into the divine rhythm of abundance. To ignore it is to remain in the struggle of lack, wondering why doors seem closed and blessings seem far away. When we give, we release. And when we release, we open the channels of supply to flow back toward us in greater measure. The world often teaches that to give is to diminish, to lose, to reduce what you have. But divine law teaches the opposite. To give is to multiply, to plant, to increase. The one who clutches tightly may preserve a small portion, but the one who gives freely opens the floodgates of heaven. For what you give out returns, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Consider the farmer. He has a bag of seed in his hand. If he hoards the seed, if he refuses to cast it into the earth, what will happen? The seed remains just that, a seed, dry, hard, and limited. But when he gives it to the soil, when he lets it go, when he entrusts it to the divine order of growth, that small seed becomes a harvest, multiplied beyond measure. This is the picture of divine law. Giving is sowing. Receiving is the harvest. Many wonder why they seem to live in lack, why opportunities pass them by, why blessings feel delayed. Often, it is because they have not entered the flow of giving. They stand with clenched fists, holding tightly to what they have, fearing loss, fearing emptiness, fearing that there is not enough. But clenching hands cannot receive. A closed hand cannot take hold of the blessings meant for it. Only the open hand receives, and the open hand is the hand that gives. To give is to trust the source. To give is to declare by action that supply is unlimited, that God is the fountain, that provision never ends. Each act of giving is an affirmation of abundance, a silent decree that says, I live in an overflowing universe. I cannot lack, for God is my supply. The very act of giving dismantles fear. It tells lack, you are an illusion. You have no power over me. And it tells abundance, come forth, flow into my life in greater measure. but giving must be done with the right spirit. Many give reluctantly, grudgingly, or with hidden motives, and they wonder why the flow of blessing seems obstructed. True giving is joyful. True giving is free. True giving is done with a heart of love and trust, not calculation or anxiety. When you give in joy, you plant in fertile soil. When you give in fear, you plant on barren ground. The soil of the heart matters as much as the seed. Think of the sun. Every morning it gives without measure. It shines on the just and the unjust. It does not ask, will I have enough light for tomorrow if I shine today? It simply gives, and in its giving, life on earth flourishes. The sun never runs out. The rivers never tire of flowing. The trees never stop producing fruit and shade. Creation itself is a testimony of the law. Giving multiplies receiving. You may say, but I have so little. How can I give? Yet it is not the amount that matters, it is the spirit. A small gift given with love carries greater power than a large gift given in resentment. Remember the widow who gave her 2 mites. To the eyes of the world, it was almost nothing. But to divine law, it was everything. She gave from her heart, and her gift multiplied in the unseen, for her faith unlocked infinite supply. There are those who wait to give until they have more. But the law works in reverse. You do not wait for more to give, you give, and then more comes. The world says, hold on tightly, and you will be safe. The divine says, release, and you will be supplied. Giving is the key that opens the door of increase. Consider the story of a man who feared poverty. He saved every coin. He counted every dollar, and he gave nothing. He thought by hoarding he would secure himself. But his life grew smaller, opportunities passed, and even what he had seemed to slip away. Contrast this with the man who gave freely. He gave his time, his resources, his words of encouragement. His circle grew larger, opportunities came to him unasked, and his needs were always supplied. The first man lived in the law of fear, the second lived in the law of giving, and giving multiplied his receiving. It is not only money that we are called to give. We can give kindness, encouragement, wisdom, and love. Sometimes the greatest gift is not material but spiritual. A smile given at the right moment can change a life. A word of faith spoken in darkness can ignite hope. And when you give these gifts, they return multiplied. The kindness you sow today may meet you tomorrow in ways you cannot imagine. The love you pour out will circle back to you, sometimes through the same people, sometimes through strangers, always multiplied. To give is to imitate the divine giver. God gives endlessly, life, breath, opportunities, forgiveness, grace. He holds nothing back. When we give, we mirror his nature, and in that mirroring, we step into harmony with the source of all abundance. Giving is alignment, and alignment brings flow. When we withhold, we step out of rhythm. It is as if the river flows, but we build a dam with fear and selfishness. The river does not stop existing, but it no longer flows through us. The key is to remove the dam, to release, to give, so the river of supply can move freely again. There is a divine timing in giving. Often you will feel a nudge in your spirit, an inner whisper saying, give here, sow here, bless this person, support this work. Do not resist that whisper. That is your consultant guiding you into greater increase. What you release at that moment will circle back to you at the exact time you need it most. Some fear that if they give, others may take advantage of them. But remember, no good deed is ever lost. Even if a person misuses your gift, the law is still working for you. You gave in love, and the universe records it. The return does not depend on the receiver's actions, it depends on the principle. The harvest comes regardless of the soil where you thought the seed landed, because God himself ensures the multiplication. When you begin to live in this law, life changes. Fear diminishes because you know you can never truly lose. Anxiety fades because you know supply is endless. Gratitude increases because every gift becomes both a seed and a harvest. And joy rises because you are no longer a reservoir trying to hoard water. You are a river ever flowing, ever replenished. To give is to live. Stagnation comes when we try to hold everything for ourselves. Flow comes when we release. Imagine water that is trapped in a container, never poured out, never moving. Soon it grows stale, but water that flows stays fresh. So it is with life. To keep your life fresh, you must let it flow. Giving keeps the current moving. Even in times of apparent lack, give. Especially in times of lack, give. That is the paradox of divine law. When the widow faced famine, the prophet asked her to share her last meal. It seemed unreasonable. But in giving she unlocked multiplication, and her jar never emptied. If she had held back, she and her son would have perished. But she gave, and she lived in supply. The law never fails. Some may ask, how will I know if I am giving enough? The answer is not in numbers but in the heart. Are you giving joyfully? Are you giving freely? Are you giving with trust, not fear? That is enough. For divine law does not count the coins, it weighs the spirit. And let us not forget the greatest truth of all, God himself is the giver, and we are but channels. What you have is not truly yours to cling to. It flows through you for a purpose. When you release, you prove yourself a faithful channel, and the source can trust you with more. If the channel clogs, the flow stops. but the open channel is always supplied. So affirm within yourself daily, I give freely, and I receive abundantly. My giving multiplies my receiving. I am a channel of divine supply. What I release returns to me multiplied, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Speak these words with faith and act upon them with joy. Watch as your life transforms. Opportunities will appear. Resources will come, doors will open, and blessings will overflow. Giving multiplies receiving. It is not a suggestion, it is a law. Trust it, practice it, live it, and you will see the truth of it in your own life. The more you give, the more you live. The more you release, the more you increase. The more you open your hand, the more heaven fills it again. Beloved souls, let us not be fearful hoarders of seed. Let us be joyful sowers, confident in the harvest. For the harvest is sure, the increase is certain, and the abundance is unending. Give, and it shall be given unto you. Open your hand, and watch God fill it again and again. Flow with the rhythm of divine law, and you will never know lack. Yes, giving multiplies receiving. And in that eternal law, there is peace, there is joy, and there is endless success. Effortless success replaces struggle. This is a law of the Spirit, yet the world has often been taught the opposite. From childhood, many are trained to believe that only through endless striving, relentless worry, and painful sacrifice can one achieve anything worthwhile. The mind becomes conditioned to associate progress with strain, achievement with exhaustion, and wealth with struggle. Yet the truth is altogether different. The truth declares that success is not manufactured through toil but received through alignment. Success is not the fruit of pushing against life, but the unfolding of divine order within life. The more we surrender to the wisdom of God, the more struggle dissolves, and the more effortless the flow of success becomes. When you look at the natural world, you see no strain. The sun does not struggle to rise. The rivers do not fight to flow. The trees do not toil to bring forth fruit. All things move in rhythm with divine order. It is only man, in his separation from divine wisdom, who imagines that struggle is necessary. He pushes, he fears, he competes, and he exhausts himself, believing that without endless effort, nothing will work. But success, in its true sense, is never the child of strain. Success is the natural inheritance of one who knows the laws of God and aligns with them. When the soul discovers that God is the unfailing source of guidance, then the struggle ceases. For what is struggle but resistance? It is the attempt to do alone what can only be done in partnership with the infinite. The moment you acknowledge God as your consultant, your guide, your unfailing wisdom, you step into a different rhythm of living. Suddenly, what seemed impossible becomes possible. Doors that were once locked swing open. Ideas that once seemed hidden reveal themselves with clarity. Resources that once appeared scarce flow toward you with ease. This is the divine exchange. When you let go of struggle, you make room for effortless success. The one who struggles often believes that everything depends upon him. He worries, plans, calculates, and fears that if he makes one wrong move, everything will collapse. He feels he must carry the weight of his life upon his own shoulders. But this is illusion. Life is not sustained by man's effort, it is sustained by God's order. The planets are not held in orbit by human striving. The seasons do not turn by man's worry. The breath within your lungs does not continue because of your anxious thoughts. All is carried by the great wisdom of the universe, and your life, too, is meant to be carried by that same wisdom. When you shift your thinking from struggle to surrender, you find that success begins to arrive without force. This does not mean inactivity. It does not mean laziness. It does not mean sitting idly and expecting miracles without preparation or discipline. It means that every action is guided, every effort inspired, and every step aligned with divine timing. There is a vast difference between action born of anxiety and action born of guidance. The former drains you, the latter empowers you. The former feels heavy, the latter feels light. The former is filled with resistance, the latter flows. A divine idea, when acted upon, unfolds effortlessly. It carries its own provision. It attracts its own supply. It magnetizes the right people and situations. What you once thought would take years of effort can unfold in moments when the idea comes from God. For divine ideas are not bound by human limits. They transcend obstacles, they bypass barriers, they carry the signature of certainty. One inspired thought, followed in faith, is more powerful than years of striving without direction. Many live their lives climbing ladders that lean against the wrong walls. They work day and night, chasing success, but at the end discover emptiness. This is the fruit of struggle without alignment. Effort without God's guidance leads only to frustration. But when success is aligned with divine purpose, it brings peace, fulfillment, and joy. You no longer feel the need to prove yourself to the world, for you know you are moving with the current of divine order. Effortless success does not mean a life without challenges. It means that even in challenges, you do not struggle but you trust. You no longer see obstacles as enemies but as stepping stones. You no longer panic when doors close, for you know another, better door will open. You do not fight against the flow of life, you flow with it. And because of this, success manifests in ways beyond your imagination. The struggle comes when we try to control the outcome. We demand that life unfold in our way, on our schedule, according to our limited vision. We push against divine timing, we cling to plans, we grasp at results. And the more we grasp, the more things slip from our hands. But surrender says, I release my way for the higher way. I trust the divine plan more than my limited reasoning. I know that what is mine by divine right cannot be withheld. In that trust, anxiety dissolves, fear fades, and you begin to live in a state of peace. That peace becomes the fertile ground where effortless success blooms. There are countless testimonies of individuals who, after years of struggle, released their burdens to God and found success flowing in ways they never dreamed possible. The businessperson who tried every strategy in vain, but finally prayed for guidance and received one simple idea that transformed his enterprise. The artist who strove for recognition but, when she released the need for approval, suddenly found her work celebrated. The weary soul who tried to force relationships into place but, when surrendered, was led to the perfect partnership. Such stories reveal the great truth: what you struggle to hold eludes you, but what you release to God flows to you with ease. Faith is the key to effortless success. Faith does not say, I will succeed by my effort. Faith says, success is already mine in the unseen, for it is aligned with divine law. I need only to walk in trust until it manifests. Faith works in silence, quietly dissolving the blocks of fear and doubt that cause struggle. Faith transforms the wilderness into a pathway and the desert into a garden. When you live by faith, even your smallest steps are magnified, for you are moving with the rhythm of the infinite. Effortless success is also born of words. The one who constantly speaks of struggle, lack, and hardship invites more of the same, but the one who speaks words of faith, abundance, and ease plants seeds of effortless success. Say within yourself, I do not struggle. I am aligned with divine order. All that is mine comes to me easily and joyfully. Speak these words until they become your inner knowing, and watch how life bends to match your faith. Another great secret to effortless success is giving. The one who struggles often clings tightly, afraid to lose. But this very fear blocks the flow of supply. Giving opens the channel. When you give freely, of money, of time, of encouragement, you affirm trust in divine abundance. That trust multiplies back into your life. The flow becomes effortless because you no longer try to hoard, you allow circulation. Just as rivers must flow to remain alive, so must prosperity circulate. Stagnation is struggle, circulation is effortless success. You must also remember that effortless success does not look the same for every person. It is not about imitating another's path or competing with another's journey. It is about discovering your divine assignment and aligning with it. The rose does not struggle to be a lily, nor does the oak try to be a palm. Each flourishes by being true to its nature. In the same way, you succeed effortlessly when you follow your divine pattern. The world may tempt you to copy others, but your greatest success lies in the divine idea planted uniquely within you. Effortless success is the natural result of trust, alignment, and obedience to divine guidance. When you listen inwardly, you will always hear the still small voice directing you. Sometimes it says, wait. Sometimes it says, act now. Sometimes it closes a door, sometimes it opens one. But it always leads to your highest good. Struggle is born of ignoring that voice. Effortless success is born of following it. Therefore, the work is not to strive harder but to trust deeper. It is not to fight more but to surrender more. It is not to multiply effort but to magnify faith. The battle is not against life but against the inner doubt that whispers, you must do this alone. The victory comes when you answer, I am never alone. God goes before me, guides me, and establishes my success. When you embrace this truth, life transforms. Work becomes play. Effort becomes joy. Progress becomes natural. You discover that success was never meant to be manufactured through struggle but received as your birthright. The path becomes smooth, the burdens light, the journey filled with peace. And the success that comes is not fleeting, but eternal, because it is built upon the unshakable foundation of divine law. So let every heart declare, effortless success is mine. I release struggle. I align with divine order. I walk in faith, I act in guidance, I give in trust, and I receive in joy. What is mine flows to me. I am carried by the rhythm of God, and in Him I cannot fail. In this declaration, the struggle ends. In this faith, success begins. And in this alignment, your life becomes a testimony that effortless success always replaces struggle when God is your guide. When we think of success, the world often paints a picture filled with wealth, fame, recognition, and the accumulation of things. The world tells us that success is the size of your bank account, the measure of your influence, the number of people who applaud you, or the possessions you acquire. But I tell you today, none of these alone define true success. For what use is the mansion if the soul within it is restless? What joy is there in a fortune if it is guarded by fear of loss? What benefit is there in climbing the heights of worldly acclaim if the heart is troubled and sleep will not come? True success The kind that endures and satisfies is not measured by what is external. True success is peace-filled. It is the success that carries a quiet confidence and inner calm and the assurance that no storm can shake. It is success that allows you to close your eyes at night in rest, not in worry. It is success that does not make you a slave to fear, but a free soul walking in harmony with divine order. Many people chase what they call success, but what they often find is exhaustion. They burn the candle at both ends, striving, competing, manipulating, and worrying. They build empires but lose their health. They gather treasures but forfeit joy. They wear crowns of achievement but suffer the torment of unrest. Yet the Spirit whispers, "Peace I give you, not as the world gives, but as heaven alone provides." That peace is the heart of true success. When God is your consultant and your life is aligned with His principles, you do not have to chase success like a shadow. Instead, success flows toward you in divine timing, bringing both abundance and tranquility. Your achievements are not frantic, they are effortless manifestations of divine ideas. Your blessings are not burdens, they are gifts that carry no sorrow with them. For Scripture says, "The blessing of the Lord makes rich, and He adds no sorrow with it." The mark of divine success is the absence of sorrow and the presence of peace. Think of it this way: peace is the signature of God upon all that is truly yours. Anything you acquire through fear, manipulation, or desperation will never carry the fragrance of peace. It may glitter in the sunlight, but it weighs heavily on the heart. But whatever comes to you by divine right, whatever flows into your life because of alignment with divine principles, will bring with it serenity, joy, and freedom. This is why so many who appear wealthy are poor in spirit, while some who possess little in worldly goods walk in a wealth of peace that money cannot buy. But here is the truth: you are not called to choose between wealth and peace. The divine consultant does not say, "Take one and leave the other." No, when you align with God, you are blessed with both. For prosperity in its true form is never at odds with peace. Abundance is not meant to rob you of joy but to amplify it. Supply is not meant to enslave you with worry, but to free you into generosity and purpose. Peace is the proof that your success is real. Imagine standing in the middle of abundance, and yet your heart is calm. Imagine possessing more than you could ask for, but instead of fear, you feel gratitude. Imagine doors opening, opportunities appearing, wealth flowing, and still, you walk in a stillness that no circumstance can shake. That is true success. You see, true success does not demand you to sacrifice your inner harmony on the altar of achievement. Instead, it is born from that inner harmony. Success without peace is counterfeit. It sparkles for a season, then crumbles under the weight of anxiety. But success with peace endures, because it is grounded in eternal principles. Let us reflect on how peace-filled success is cultivated. It begins with trust. When you trust the divine consultant, you no longer rush or worry. You do not say, "What if I lose it?" or "What if I fail?" Instead you say, "What is mine by divine right cannot be taken away, and what is not mine cannot stay." That trust keeps your soul calm even while others tremble. Trust anchors you in the truth that God's supply is endless and nothing can block what belongs to you. Next, peace-filled success requires integrity. For anything built on dishonesty, deceit, or fear will trouble the soul. You may achieve something by compromising principles, but it will not bring peace. Only what is gained through truth and right action can rest sweetly on the heart. Integrity aligns you with the unshakable laws of divine order, ensuring that your success is not only lasting, but accompanied by peace. Another key to peace-filled success is release. Many live in torment because they grasp too tightly at what they have or what they desire. They cling in fear, and the tighter they hold, the more peace slips away. But when you release your plans, your possessions, your outcomes into the hands of God, you find freedom. You understand that nothing good can be withheld and nothing false can remain. Release opens the door for peace to enter and allows true success to manifest. Peace-filled success also flows from right speech. Words are seeds, and many sow anxiety into their own fields by the language they use. They say, "I'm afraid I will lose it. I never have enough. What if I fail?" And then they wonder why unrest surrounds their life. But those who guard their words and speak faith call peace into their experience. Say instead, "God is my unfailing supply. Divine ideas guide me. What is mine cannot be withheld. My success is peace-filled and eternal." These words align you with the vibration of peace, and soon your life reflects them. Furthermore, peace-filled success rests on generosity. A fearful soul clings, but a peaceful soul gives. When you give freely, you affirm that your supply is infinite and that you are connected to the source that never runs dry. Generosity opens your heart to joy and clears away the heaviness of fear. Every act of giving is an act of trust, and every act of trust multiplies peace. Now, let us consider how peace manifests in the midst of success. Many believe that to succeed means to rush, to compete, to fight for position. But peace-filled success does not compete, it attracts. It does not rush, it flows. It does not fight, it harmonizes. You do not strive to take from another, for you know that your portion is secure. You do not fear what others achieve, for you know that no good thing can be withheld from you. Your success is your own, stamped with the signature of God, carrying no rivalry, no struggle, no unrest. When success is peace-filled, you no longer view prosperity as something fragile to guard, but as a river that flows endlessly. You see wealth not as a treasure to hoard, but as a tool to bless. You do not see opportunity as rare, but as abundant, arriving always at the right time. And because of this shift in perception, you live free from worry. That freedom is peace, and that peace is the true sign of success. Now let me tell you, peace-filled success is also protection. Many who gain worldly wealth find that they must fight endlessly to keep it, fearing thieves, downturns, or betrayals. But when your success is divinely ordered, peace becomes your shield. For what is aligned with God cannot be stolen, what is rooted in truth cannot collapse, and what is held by divine law cannot be lost. Peace assures you that your blessings are secure, not because of human contracts but because of divine covenant. This peace also transforms how you experience success. Without peace, even abundance feels empty. But with peace, even the simplest blessing feels full. Without peace, you fear tomorrow. With peace, you rejoice in today. Without peace, you chase and chase, never satisfied. With peace, you rest in gratitude, and more flows naturally to you. Peace gives meaning to abundance, joy to wealth, and sweetness to achievement. Let us affirm together, my success is peace-filled. What I gain by divine right brings no sorrow with it. My blessings are secure, and my heart is at rest. God is my consultant, and his peace is my proof of true success. Every time fear whispers, respond with peace. Every time doubt knocks, answer with trust. Every time the world says, struggle harder, let your soul answer, I live in divine flow. In this way, peace will govern your success, and your success will bear the eternal mark of peace. I tell you, this peace is not a luxury. It is the foundation of all that is real. Without peace, success is illusion. With peace, success is eternal. And so I say again, true success is peace-filled. It is the calm in the midst of achievement, the rest in the center of abundance, the assurance that what God gives can never be taken away. So choose today to measure your success not merely by what you hold in your hand, but by the peace that fills your heart. Choose to align with the divine consultant, whose wisdom leads to blessings that come with serenity. Choose to release striving and embrace trust. For when your success is peace-filled, you have found the secret to prosperity that satisfies, endures, and overflows into every area of your life. And may this peace-filled success be yours now, always, and forevermore. The greatest mistake humanity makes is believing that success is born from human effort alone. We are taught from an early age to map out our lives, to set rigid goals, to depend on calculations and cleverness. We are trained to plan, to project, and to predict. Yet, how many times have those carefully made plans crumbled into disappointment? How many times has the project that seemed so promising dissolved into confusion? How often has the path that looked secure turned out to be a dead end? The truth is, this failure comes from planning without God. Every plan that is built upon the shaky foundation of human reasoning alone is a house without a cornerstone. It may stand for a while, but in time it collapses under the weight of unforeseen circumstances. For no human mind, however brilliant, can see the whole picture. Only divine mind knows the end from the beginning. Only the wisdom of God can align our steps with success that is lasting and real. When you make plans without God, you are like a sailor charting a course without consulting the compass. You may think you are headed toward safe shores, but you will drift into storms. Yet when you consult with the divine, every course correction is made with precision, and even the winds and waves become allies, carrying you to the destination prepared for you. People often say, "But I worked so hard. I gave my all. Why did it fail?" The answer is simple: effort without alignment is wasted. Striving without divine direction is like planting seeds in dry soil. You may scatter many, but nothing grows because the conditions are wrong. Yet when you seek God's guidance first, He leads you to fertile ground. One seed planted under His direction produces a harvest 100-fold. Failure is not a punishment, it is a redirection. Every failure whispers, "You left God out of the plan." Every disappointment is a gentle reminder, consult with the higher wisdom first. For when God is not invited to the table, the plan is incomplete. But when He is placed at the center, every detail unfolds in divine order. The ego insists, "I know best, I will make my own way." But how often does that way lead to frustration? The soul, however, whispers, "Not my will, but thy will." That is the turning point where failure ends and success begins. For the one who surrenders their plan to God will never be left in confusion. They will be guided step by step, sometimes through unexpected turns, but always toward victory. Consider this truth: there is no wasted time when you walk in God's counsel. Even delays have meaning. Even detours prepare you for the destination. But when you plan without Him, the journey becomes a circle, a repeating pattern of trial and error. You go forward, only to return to the same starting point. You climb only to fall back. You build only to see it undone. It is like running on a treadmill, much motion, no progress. Success without God is an illusion. The world may applaud it, but it is temporary. Wealth gained without divine wisdom often vanishes like smoke. Positions achieved through human cunning crumble overnight. Even when outwardly it looks like success, inwardly it lacks peace. True success is more than outward gain. It is inner harmony, lasting abundance, and the certainty that you are in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing, by divine appointment. When God is left out of the plan, fear takes his place. Fear of failure, fear of lack, fear of being left behind. Anxiety becomes the fuel, and worry becomes the driver. But fear cannot produce lasting fruit. Fear-based action always collapses because it is out of alignment with the eternal principle of faith. Faith builds, fear destroys. To plan with God is to begin every endeavor with prayer, with stillness, with the question, what is the divine idea here? Not what do I want, but what is the higher plan? For divine ideas are the seeds of success. One divine idea contains within it all the resources, all the timing, all the connections necessary for its fulfillment. When you act on divine instruction, you are not struggling, you are carried. Doors open without force. People appear without searching. The right resources flow without struggle. But when you plan without God, you force, you push, you grasp, you chase. And the more you chase, the further the goal seems to run from you. It is like trying to catch the wind with your hands, impossible. Yet, when you align with God's plan, success chases you. Opportunities find you. Prosperity flows toward you. You become the magnet instead of the pursuer. So many in the world live by this cycle. They plan, they work, they strive, they fail, and then they repeat. But those who learn to pause and seek divine counsel step off that exhausting wheel. They rise into a new rhythm, an effortless flow where each step is ordered and each move is blessed. To plan without God is to walk in darkness. To plan with Him is to walk in light. Light reveals the path, shows the obstacles, and illuminates the way forward. Darkness hides pitfalls and blinds us to opportunities. How much wiser it is to walk in the light of divine wisdom than to stumble in the darkness of human pride. Understand this: God is not against planning. He is against godless planning. He desires that we prepare, that we build, that we envision, but always in harmony with His guidance. A plan surrendered to Him becomes infused with power. A plan aligned with Him cannot fail, for it is His plan made manifest through you. The key is surrender. Surrender is not weakness, it is strength. It is not giving up, it is rising higher. When you surrender your plan to God, you are not losing control. You are placing it in the hands of the one who already knows the end from the beginning. That is not loss, it is wisdom. You may ask, how do I know if my plan is aligned with God? The answer is simple: peace. Divine plans are marked by peace. Even if the steps seem challenging, even if the road looks steep, there is an inner calm that assures you, this is the way. Human-made plans, on the other hand, are marked by anxiety, doubt, and restless striving. They drain you rather than energize you. Peace is the compass that confirms alignment with God. When you build a house without consulting the architect, you end up with a structure that collapses. God is the master architect of life. To build without Him is foolishness. To build with Him is wisdom. He knows the right foundation, the right materials, the right timing. When you follow His blueprint, your house stands firm through every storm. History is full of examples. Empires built without God crumble into dust. Companies founded on greed collapse overnight. Relationships started without divine guidance fall apart. But the things founded on God's wisdom endure. They stand the test of time. They multiply. They bless not only the one who began them but generations after. Beloved soul, hear this truth: the safest, wisest, surest way to succeed is to put God first in every plan. Begin with prayer. Listen for guidance. Be still until you sense the direction. Do not rush ahead in impatience. Do not be swayed by appearances. Wait until the inner light shines, then move. That is the secret of unfailing success. Every failure you have ever experienced can be traced back to leaving God out of the plan. But take heart, those failures are not wasted. They are lessons, reminders, gentle calls to return to the source. From this day forward, you need not repeat those mistakes. You can choose differently. You can choose to make God your consultant, your guide, your partner in every endeavor. And when you do, you will find that success is no longer elusive. It becomes inevitable. It becomes natural. It becomes your inheritance. For you were never meant to struggle in the darkness of self-made plans. You were meant to shine in the light of divine wisdom. So declare today, I no longer plan without God. I consult Him in all things. His wisdom directs me, His power supports me, His abundance flows to me. I cannot fail, for I walk in divine alignment. Hold this truth in your heart. Failure comes from planning without God. Success comes from walking with Him. Choose wisely, and your life will become a testimony of His guidance, His order, and His abundance. Then, every step you take will prosper. Every door you enter will bless you. Every plan you make will bear fruit that lasts. For when God is in your plan, your success is eternal. When you walk with God as your partner, lack and limitation lose their grip on your life. The world may try to convince you that resources are scarce, that opportunities are rare, that you must compete and fight your way through life. But when you claim divine partnership, you place yourself under a higher economy, an economy not governed by chance, competition, or struggle, but by the law of abundance. In that partnership, you no longer